everybody, it's your Sam and I'm here with another video. Today I'm just going to show you a roundabout way of how I loosely set my goals so I can get some things accomplished while not really putting a lot of pressure on myself. You may not know that I suffer from anxiety and depression. With setting goals, it's rather difficult to do so whenever you have a mental health issue or a chronic health issue or a disease or something like that. So hopefully seeing how I kind of set my goals will help you to set yours too and kind of feel better about yourself. Now, all this would not be possible without the HB90 method. Before the HB90 method, I was kind of floundering in setting goals and still beating myself up a lot because I would have these high expectations of myself because I would set my goals while I was feeling good, while I was keeping in mind of the good days that I had where I could get a lot of things done, where I could write 10,000 words and edit 3 or 4 chapters at a time and record 3 or 4 videos at a time and all this stuff. So that was not healthy, it wasn't good, but the HB90 method helped me out a lot. And for those of you interested, you can sign up for the next course, which will be beginning in March, and you can sign up for Q2 of 2023, and hopefully it will help you out too. Now, without further ado, I'm going to kind of jump into how I loosely set my goals. First things first is I decide what is important to me. I decide what I want to accomplish that year. I decide what I want to be able to tell people I've accomplished that year, that I imagine myself talking to, it used to be mom, now I kind of talk to her in my head, and I go from there. I want to be able to tell her that I finished writing Isekai Detective. I want to be able to tell her that I am now querying I Am No Hero Book 1, and I want to tell her that I'm starting on writing the first draft of I Am No Hero Book 3. And that helps me to kind of prioritize what I want to get done, what I want to accomplish, and just kind of go from there. I write all of those things down. No matter if I know I'm going to get to them this year or if it might be a couple of years down the road. Everything that's going through my head goal-wise, what I want to work on, what I want to accomplish, what I want to finish, what I need to do, I write down on a sheet of paper, and it's everything. It's everything from writing to reading to editing to health to just trips that I want to take. I write everything down, kind of like a mind dump. And then I go back and I try to prioritize. What my prioritizing looks like is I look at that list and I see what will help me reach my goal of getting published the quickest or the most efficiently. I look at the list and see what would help me feel better about myself, feel better about my life, and possibly aid in my mental health, aid in keeping the depression kind of back and away and keeping my anxiety down. So I look at that list and I pick out what of that list is going to help me right now. I also pick out what will help me a few months down the road, maybe the next quarter. Those are the goals for the next quarter. And then I pick out what will help me next year, or so on and so forth. I use a highlighter for this usually, so the things that help me now or I know will help me now. I put like in purple or red. And then for 3 or 4 months down the road, I kind of put in like an orange or a yellow. And then for maybe 6 or 7 months down the road, I put in like a green. And then next year I put like in a blue, or I just don't highlight it at all. Things that I'm not real sure if they're going to work, or I'm not real sure where I need to put them, I kind of leave blank, or I circle them so that as I'm setting these goals and trying to plan everything out, I can make note of them. Maybe I'll have a stroke of inspiration a little bit later and I'll know exactly where to put it, or something to that nature. Next, I take a look at my time. I pull out a monthly calendar, and sometimes 3, and I just lay them out. Then I take a weekly calendar and I block out things that I know are going to happen. Like, I need 6 hours of sleep, so I know that I'm not going to get up before 5 a.m., so I know my day will start around 5 a.m. on most days. I also know that if I wake up at 5 a.m., then I need to be in bed by 9. That way I can guarantee that I will have that 6 hours of sleep, so I can start my day off relatively okay. So I block out those times. I know nothing's going to happen after 9 p.m. other than maybe some winding down, maybe some reading or something like that, and I know nothing's going to happen before 5 a.m. I block out doctor's appointments that I know that I have. I block out family time that I know I need to do, such as birthdays and visiting dad and all that stuff. I also block out my friend time because we meet once a month for a game night, or sometimes we meet a little bit for coffee, or just have random little meetups here and there. And those that I know are going to happen, I schedule those out. Conventions, I schedule out. I block out. I am trying to learn how to block out self-care time. I know that each day I have to eat meals, so I'll block those out. Block like 30 minutes out for each of those. I also block out some time where I just veg and I'll watch maybe 30 minutes of Netflix or something like that. Then I see what's left for my goals, which my goals are writing, reading, and health wise, exercise or something like that, or meal planning. Usually I have anywhere, depending on the day, anywhere between 4 hours to 6 hours to put towards my goals, to put towards writing, to put towards reading, to put towards editing, to put towards exercising or something like that. I usually plan out 4 hours a day because those are my worst days. Those are the days where I'm busy with all kinds of other stuff. So during the week, I have 4 hours a day, almost each day, unless something else is scheduled, like family time, that I can work on my goals. And then I see how long it takes me to do certain tasks. So like writing, for instance. I know I want to finish a book each quarter. Each book is around 90,000 words, and it takes me about 30 minutes, give or take, to write, say, 700 words. So I know that 90,000 word book is going to take me 3,000 task blocks. That's my task blocks over 30 minutes because of the HB90 method. Sarra Canon taught me how to do task blocks every 30 minutes, and that's how I count my task blocks. So I know it's going to take me at least 3,000 task blocks. Now I usually add an extra 50 task blocks just because I know some days are going to be slower than others. Some days I'm just not going to feel it. It's going to take me forever to write one sentence or two. So I add about 50 extra task blocks. So 3,050 task blocks to write a 90,000 word book. I know I can relatively get that done within a month, but I know I'm not going to do that. I am not going to put that kind of pressure on me. So I'm going to break it down into a 3-month time period. I know each month that I can write for at least 5 hours a week. there's 4 weeks in a month. So that is 20 hours a month that I'm going to write, and I break it down from there. There are going to be some months where I add a little bit more. There are going to be some days where I can write 10,000 words and that'll knock out a good chunk of it. But I plan for the worst possible scenario, period. Same thing with editing, same thing with reading, same thing with exercising and all that good stuff. Always plan for the worst possible scenario. That way you're always kind of working ahead on your good days. And when you do have a bad day, you hopefully have a little bit of a buffer because you've had a couple of good days beforehand, or you're not really sweating it, you're not really beating yourself up because you have given yourself that buffer. Never forget yourself. Never forget that there's going to be moments of imposter syndrome. Never forget that there's going to be moments of depression, anxiety. Never forget that there's going to be moments where you just hurt too much to do things. And this is why you need to give yourself a little bit of grace. You need to give yourself a little bit of cushion and just plan like each day is going to be difficult. That way, towards the end of the month, towards the end of the week, when you're reevaluating things, you're not going to beat yourself up and make your depression, your anxiety, your imposter syndrome worse. Stress adds to a lot of physical health issues, so you want to lessen your stress and you want to keep it down as much as possible. Creating a loose schedule like this will help with that, and hopefully it'll help with not flaring up your physical health too awful much, to where you can keep healthy and keep working towards your goals and keep being all right. With the time that you have each day and each week in mind, add your goal tasks to your weekly schedule. So for example, I want to finish editing I'm No Hero Book 1, finally, I hope. I know that each chapter usually takes me around 2 to 3 task blocks to finish. So I am going to set a goal of editing 2 chapters per week. And that's going to take up 5 of my task blocks out of the 21 that I have. And I'm just going to kind of sprinkle them in. I'm going to list them. I'm not going to put like a date on them or anything like that, because remember, I like to keep things loose. I like to keep myself de-stressed and all that stuff. So I'm just going to write it down that I'm going to edit 2 chapters of I'm No Hero Book 1, and I estimate it's going to take about 5 task blocks. Whenever I start editing I'm No Hero Book 1, I time myself. The Forest app is awesome for this. I can set my timer for 30 minutes in the Forest app, and I could grow a tree while I'm at it and have something pretty to look at that's kind of a reward for focusing for 30 minutes. And then I mark that down. The HB90 course provides a week by week project task blocker system that is really great for color coding everything and just keeping track of your task blocks and keeping track of what you need to do per week. And that's what I use. You can use any kind of like habit tracker or something like that, or anything that you find that works for you towards keeping track of how long it takes you to do something, or how long if you need to reevaluate how long it takes each task, so that you can better prepare for next week, next month, so on and so forth. And I do recommend reevaluating about each week, because like I said, some days are going to be better than others, some days are going to be worse. Your schedule towards your goals is not set in stone. It should never be set in stone, because you should give yourself grace. You should help yourself out. But you also need to keep your eye on the prize. You also need to keep working towards it as well. So hopefully this will balance everything out to where it will work better for you, and you can still work towards your goals. You can still not beat yourself up as badly. Another thing that I like to keep track of is how I feel doing each task. I know editing is hell for me, so I know I'm going to feel relatively discouraged with editing. I'm going to feel aggravated probably, and sometimes I feel like it's kind of like a waste of time because I could pay somebody to do this for me, but at the same time I don't want to waste the money because especially with I'm no hero, I know that I'm going to query it, and I know that if an agent picks it up, that whoever we sell the book to, they're going to have their own editors, and I would have just wasted that money that I could have saved for whenever I indie publish one of my other books. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. You want to keep track of how you feel. You want to keep track of how much time the task did take so you can reevaluate the task list for next week and add or subtract however many task blocks you need to in order to accomplish your tasks. You also want to reevaluate so you can see if you need to move anything around for the next week in order to be better. And what I mean by be better is to feel better about yourself, to feel better about your goals, to work towards your goals more if that's possible, or work towards your goals less so that you can have some breaks in between so that you can stay mentally healthy or not burn yourself out. Also, I kind of try to keep track of what takes me the longest and how I can maybe research something or learn something in order to make that task a little bit less stressful for me or quicker for me too. So if you see that something is taking you a really long time, like say editing a video, maybe you need to take a little bit of time out next week and watch a couple of videos on how to edit a video or something to that nature. Maybe there's some tips and tricks that'll help you out and streamline your process a little bit better so that next week it won't take as long. And then I also mark down how far along I am towards working towards my goals. So say this week I wrote 12,000 words. I know that that's a pretty good chunk out of 90,000 words that I wanted in order to finish the book, and I mark that down somewhere. I celebrate that. Always celebrate any kind of accomplishment towards your goals. Make yourself feel better about yourself. Don't beat yourself up. That's just, it gets in the way. I hope this somewhat explanation of how I set my goals has helped you out a little bit. I highly recommend the HB90 course because Sarra Canon and everybody there does such a better job at explaining this. But hopefully this will help you kind of set your goals tentatively or give you a few ideas on how to do better at setting goals and how to keep yourself healthy and happy. Thank you for watching. As always, be kind to one another out there. Be kind to yourself. Keep writing, keep being creative, and I will see you next time.